Sargon of Akkad, a very popular YouTuber from the UK, is very effective in ripping apart the terrible arguments made by radical feminists, social justice warriors, and exposing the negative effects such people have on society. Unfortunately, he is also a rationalist, empiricist, blah 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 yada 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 atheist, and he has a tendency to use militant atheist lingo in his videos when attacking our common enemy, like making belief in feminism akin to belief in God, for example. It's actually not a problem for the most part, since he espouses philosophical political underpinnings that I mostly agree with. But then he goes ahead and makes a video like this called God Has No Place in Politics.
I know that I have a bunch of people who are of the religious persuasion following me. If you're one of those people, I suspect you're probably one of the more sort of rational religious people who understands that not everyone shares your faith.
Yeah. That's why we have evangelists, so that more people will hear the gospel and that more people will share our faith.
Anyway, Ben Carson, a man running for the Republican nomination for presidential candidacy, destroys atheists. What he said will have you cheering. There are a couple of things about this. A, I guess he's proving that God exists, because that's the only way you're going to destroy atheists.
So this is basically the whole thrust of the video. A website called buzzpo.com, a right-wing website dedicated to making clickbait images, articles, and video clips, decided to make a clip from the Iowa speech of presidential candidate Ben Carson. Unfortunately, BuzzPo made a very misleading clickbait title to the clip, which had nothing to do with atheism, and Sargon decides to respond in a rather, irrational way, as we will soon see.
But secondly, I love that the right wing have discovered clickbait. It's brilliant. It's not enough that it was confined to the progressive left. Now the desperate right have it.
The only desperate right is the established right. The rest of us are just frustrated to the point of boredom.
Anyway, let's see how Dr. Carson has destroyed atheists.
We have to stop listening to these people who tell us that we cannot talk about God, we cannot talk about our faith.
So you're proposing some kind of faith rape then, are you there?
Sargon, Ben Carson is not a social justice warrior or a radical feminist. You don't need to go for the jugular until he actually says something really bad.
They're saying literally, I just don't care about your invisible friend in the sky, who you can't prove exists and I'm not interested in talking about.
Is Ben Carson actually demanding you to talk about God? Or is he just saying that Christians should not be shy about expressing their faith?
An entity that has absolutely no bearing on how a country can be run.
Well, if you're the sort of person who believes that your right to life, liberty, and property come from God, and that our laws should be reflective of those rights, then it is a very important underlying philosophy when making policy. After all, if your rights come from God, then no man can take them away from you.
Because nobody can contact it to ask it its opinion.
Who said anything about asking for God's opinion on any matter?
All this does is make for remarkably uncomfortable conversations. Excuse me, can I talk to you about God? No, thank you. I don't believe in God. Yes, but I really want to talk to you about God. Okay, which one? Well, Jehovah, but I don't believe in Jehovah. What do you mean you don't believe in Jehovah? I believe in Thor. You're a f***ing infidel, aren't you? Yes, I'm an infidel. Well,
What's really interesting is that all your objections so far are not actually brought up by Ben Carson himself. Also, I see you have the Milton atheist inclination to remind us all of how evil the Crusades were. Even if you're of the opinion that this was not the highest point of the Christian church, just keep in mind that if it weren't for the Crusades, the UK and all of Western civilization probably wouldn't exist, and you would probably be a radical Muslim right now.
I wonder, do they realize that our founding document, our Declaration of Independence, talked about certain inalienable rights given to us by our Creator?
our Creator, but not God.
Oh wait, let me guess, you're gonna claim that the aliens did it.
AKA God.
No. I don't believe in your God.
I don't recall anyone asking you.
You can't just go AKA God and assume that we're all on the same page. We're not. You see, I'm a Gnostic, so I believe the world was created by Satan. In fact, you are created by Satan. Your laws are created by Satan, your Bible's written by Satan. Everything about this world was created by an evil god called the Demiurge. So you can't say, oh, our creator, God, because that's not our creator. Our creator is an evil creature, an evil entity that likes to see humans suffering, which is why he made humans that can suffer. Now why don't you tell me about the you believe, and we'll agree that it's not compatible, and we'll agree to just leave it out of political conversations.
How about we take your straw man and actually be consistent about this? If you are a Gnostic as you have defined it, everything exists to suffer for the demiurge, then you will probably have no incentive to end suffering in the world, and in fact, you will probably go out of your way to ensure that suffering continues through the political process. Ben Carson, on the other hand, will have his commitment to Christ to seek out what is good and righteous and ensure that it is done correctly in the political process. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding your definition. After all, you were trying very hard to sound clever when you said it.
Do they know that the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag says we are one nation under God?
Not originally, it didn't. Originally it said, I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, the sort of pledge that someone in an independent secular republic might have written. The reason your Pledge of Allegiance has under God in it is because in the 50s, as a response to those darned atheist commies, Eisenhower had it put in. I guess you'd just be thankful that by this time they'd already taken out what appears to be the Nazi salute. It wasn't actually a Nazi salute. It just happened to look a hell of a lot like it.
Sargon of Akkad, Ben Carson was not questioning the history of the pledge.
That many courtrooms on the wall it says, "In God we trust." Every coin in our pocket, every bill in our wallet says, "In God we trust."
So what? Again, and sorry for all the Wikipedia links, but this is so well documented. This was added in the 50s, presumably as a response to the godless Red Menace.
He's also not questioning the documentation of these changes, and your insistence on that is missing the point.
So if it's in our founding document,
Which it isn't.
Declaration of Independence.
it's in our pledge,
Yeah, in the 50s, long after the founding of your nation.
And
it's in our courts, and it's on our money.
All of which proves very little.
proves little about what? The clickbait title that you're knee-jerking it to?
But we're not supposed to talk about it.
You don't even know where you're going with this, do you?
There's no rush, Sargon. He'll get to it in a moment.
What in the world is that?
It's because it's not conducive to discussion. People who don't share your beliefs or your religion or your opinion, you can't persuade them to believe in God via your holy book. They're aware of it already. And you're not willing to have your opinion changed either. So you both reach an impasse where neither of you is prepared to change your opinions on the subject. So what's the point of discussing it?
Sargon! Where did Ben Carson say anything to that effect? You and I are both looking at the footage. What on earth are you talking about?
In medicine, we call it schizophrenia, a form of craziness.
That's probably the lowest I can imagine anyone thinking. Because you don't understand your own country's history. You don't understand why people don't believe in your God, and you don't understand why people don't want to talk about your religion.
Carson is not contesting the events of the past. He is challenging the politically correct anti-Christian attitude of the present.
You think that they have a mental illness, and may be a danger to themselves or others.
Where did Ben Carson say that people who disagree with him suffer from a mental illness?
The great irony of all of this, though, is that anyone from history who claims that they are speaking to God or talking to angels or seeing things or whatever, they probably actually did have schizophrenia. Like, legitimately thought that they were in contact with a higher power. There was probably something wrong with their mind.
You do realize that you are basically claiming that everyone who believes in God actually believes in a symptom of schizophrenia, right? I wonder if this is an example of cognitive dissonance.
And now, thousands of years later, a neurosurgeon is standing before a group of people saying, hey, you remember that crazy person from 2,000 years ago? We should talk about the things they said thousands of years ago when discussing policy. And you can't see why that's stupid.
Sargon, you are lying about what Ben Carson is suggesting in this speech, and you don't even realize that you're doing it.
And it's time. It's time for us to realize that there is nothing wrong with living by godly principles.
No one said there is or isn't.
Well, considering that you implied that God is a symptom of schizophrenia, you should be the first to object to principles that stem from that schizophrenia. But of course you're not going to do that because godly principles are actually good principles that are very useful and beneficial to atheists like yourself, even if you don't believe in the reasons behind them.
The debate that you're having with yourself on this stage is whether your personal beliefs about God are relevant to political debate. Here's a hint. They're not.
And the accusation that you are making here is that people like Ben Carson are trying to force people to have a discussion about God, when really all he's doing is appealing to the sensibilities of his targeted constituency. That's his political platform. There's nothing wrong with it, and it will be very interesting to see how it plays out. So with the video over, Sargon then closes with the following images, saying, "Seriously, conservatives, you need to stop talking to people about God. It's one of the major reasons you're losing the political debate. You're making everyone cringe, just keep it to yourselves." It's almost like he's trying to make Christianity on par with racial identity. Nothing intellectually dishonest about that, right? Carson is only making people like Sargon cringe, people who would never vote for him even if they did live in America. The rest of the Iowa speech that wasn't in the clip was about celebrating America, Carson's personal story, and how
I came to a fundamental understanding that the person who has the most to do with what happens to you in life is you. It's not somebody else. And that liberated me.
I imagine that Sargon would agree with that kind of sentiment. If there is anything to be taken from this video, it would be what Ben Carson said midway in the Iowa speech.
We, the American people, are not each other's enemies. The enemies are those people who are trying to make us think that we're each other's enemies. And we have to be smart enough. And just because you disagree with somebody about something, it doesn't make them your enemy.
Sargon of Akkad, people like Ben Carson are not enemies to you, but you seem very interested in making them enemies to you. The misdirection displayed in this video is not helpful to anyone, and I couldn't help but be reminded of that one segment from Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed.
I'm actually a person of the left. I'm not even a particularly religious person. I think of myself as kind of humanist. And I think it's sending a very bad message to religious people who are interested in science, that in some sense, in order to do science credibly, they have to leave their religious beliefs at the door. You can be religiously motivated and you can do good science. And they have more often gone together than not gone together.
Admitting our biases is the best way towards rational discussion, which I would welcome.
And I, for one, would welcome that level of honesty in the political realm.
Official in charge, did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
I don't know. You know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all.
Hey, a guy can dream, can't he? So Sargon, I know how odd this sounds, but will you please be a little more rational when you do a rant like this again? Otherwise you come off as a social justice warrior who has been triggered. Just saying. Don't forget to like or dislike this video, add it to your favorites or share it if you really liked it, leave a comment below, feel free to follow me on Twitter and AskFM, and don't forget to subscribe to see future videos. Until then, take care and Godspeed.